This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Hey, tonight, head down to Kieran's Irish Pub in Minneapolis for a Game 5 Ultra KFAN watch party with Halvey. We're kicking off the pre-party at 8. We've got your chances to win prizes, play games, and sample Michelob Ultra. Get all the details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Timmy, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you can play a piano, but you cannot tune a fish. Do you know who did that album?
No.
I don't either. I don't remember now anymore. Was it Little Feat or was it REO Speedwagon? I don't know. Somebody did an album called You Can Play a Piano, but You Can't Tune a Fish. And the only reason I bring it up is I'm so glad Little B's not in here because I'm having tuna fish for lunch straight out of it. Yeah, it's.
You didn't heat it in the microwave, and now the entire building smells like it.
Absolutely not. So I'll do that while you get us started with 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. And now it's time for the 7th inning stretch.
Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson were reinstated by Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred yesterday, making both eligible for the Hall of Fame after their careers were tarnished by gambling scandals. Manfred announced yesterday he was changing the league's policy on permanent ineligibility, saying bans would expire at death. MLB said 17 individuals had their status changed by the decision, including all 8 band members of the 1919 Chicago Black Sox, former Philadelphia Phillies president Williams D. Cox, and former New York Giants outfielder Benny Koff. Under the Hall of Fame's current rules, the earliest Rose or Jackson could be inducted would be 2028. Comment, should Pete Rose and shoeless Joe Jackson now be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I thought you would have this as a question in 5, 3, 4. It's a good one. For me, I think I've made it clear. I don't put a whole lot of stock in Halls of Fames, anyways. It's just another, it's just taking the idolization and pedestalization of, sports, your whole life, just sports. That's not the only entity that has Halls of Fames. You have the Rock and Roll Music Hall of Fame. As a matter of fact, Brian Oak, Fresh Charlie, joins us at 1:30 to talk music today. And, there's Hall of Fames for this. There's the PAVIC, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame. It's like, I think most people know if they have, quote unquote Hall of Fame careers. I don't know if you feel like you need to have it validated by having a bust put in Canton or Cooperstown or up in Eveleth. But So I don't put a lot of importance in it to begin with, but for most sports fans and for the people that participated and are eligible for the Hall of Fame, it's huge. I mean, how many players break into the gold jacket at the Hall of Fame? They're blubbering like babies. They feel like it validates everything they've done, and if that makes you feel better, good for you. I'm not against it. If you've bet against baseball, if you're involved in a cheating scandal, including steroids, it's a cheating scandal. I don't think you should be eligible for a Hall of Fame. Now, the change that once you're gone but not forgotten, then that changes things. I can understand the logic to it where, look, you've been punished enough. We said never, permanent, but, life's not permanent, so you're gone and you're not going to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and the induction ceremony and all of that. So I guess I don't have a problem with it, but it does mean that it really wasn't permanent. You didn't really mean that, but things do change. How do you feel about it? I'm not sure what your feeling is on it.
Well, it's so weird because, at least Pete Rose, while I wasn't, of a cognizant age when the betting scandal went down, I still grew up with him to a certain extent, got to know his personality, got to hear him complain. Whereas I never have had the same feeling about Shoeless Joe Jackson, right? Even though, their gambling scandal was awful. I've never had the same, with Pete, I've always been, you knew you were gambling. You knew you could have been kicked out of baseball and you still decided to bet on games. You got what you deserve. I've never been too lenient on it. Whereas I've never felt the same about Shoeless Joe just because I didn't know him as a person. Right? So it's kind of weird how you look at the two of them just because they're completely different eras, and one was an era well before me.
Do you believe that that what the commissioner did is are you okay with it? See, I don't really care that much.
It's after they're dead.
Yeah.
I guess, ultimately there are guys right now that have been eligible to be voted on in the Hall of Fame that have cheated.
Yep.
Different kind of cheating. It's not gambling, but using performance-enhancing drugs. And correct. I guess just let the voters speak, I guess. If the voters think they should be in or think they shouldn't be in, then let them have that decision. You can kind of take it out of your own hands. I don't really care either way.
That's my problem. It doesn't. It's not one of those where I just boy, I have a strong opinion.
I'm not passionate about it.
I'm not going to go. If Rose and Shoeless Joe get into Cooperstown, I'm not going to protest in front of the in front of the Hall of Fame.
Question number 2.
The 107th edition of the PGA Championship begins tomorrow at Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. Common, what is your prediction? Who will win the PGA Championship?
I'll go with Colin Morikawa, even though I've got a number of reasons why he won't win, so that I'd just be contradicting myself.
I always love that one.
So I don't think I'll go with Colin Morikawa, though. Again, the whole thing is you take look at the betting odds. That's what they do in the Power Trip Morning Show, and you just start from the top and go down to the bottom. I'd like to be the guy that has that mysterious pick. Like I brought this up yesterday. Jaime Diaz of Golf Channel was on the first tee to green of the year, and I asked him the last question I asked him is, any surprise players or anything, any storylines you figured to happen this year? He goes, watch out for Sepp Straka. And then 2 weeks later, he wins. So Jaime knew something that we know Straka's a great player, but he won. I'd like to just grab a name like that maybe hasn't won in a while, or maybe has never won, and say, this is the guy that's going to win it. Scheffler played so brilliantly. Was that 2 tournaments ago when he shot the 30? That wasn't the Truist, right? That was which one didn't? Was it the one that just now they did the 31 under par? I mean, it's hard to bet a guy going 30. It couldn't have been the Truist. They would never play a tournament that easy, did they? I'm sorry, I get my time frames all confused. Anyway, he's playing that. You shoot 31 under.
The Byron Nelson.
Yeah, the Byron Nelson.
The CJ Cup.
Right. Yeah, where the fairways as wide as tarmacs at Minneapolis International Airport, and pins stuck in the middle of greens. It wasn't too difficult for anybody to play that course. but as well as he's playing, the Rory story, I get it. I tend to agree with it. Now that he's finally got the monkey off his back and the green jacket on it, my guess is there was even a story today. I didn't read it. I just saw the headline that said, Rory, much like how I feel about 5 minutes after the greatest Game 7 in World Series history, I was slapping big black Jack Morris on the back, and everything pales in comparison. The headline of the story seemed to indicate that's what he thought about. He goes, I don't think anything will match what happened to me when I won the green jacket. I've been trying to win that tournament for so long. It capped my career Grand Slam. And I do think there's less, it could go either way. Less pressure now. Now it's like, well, now I just got nothing but the world's in front of me. Let's see how many majors I can stack up. Or is he not as dialed in? And maybe, you know what? Normally I'd hit balls again after my practice round. But you know what? I got the career Grand Slam. I won the Masters. I'll just go back and have something to eat instead. Turn in early. Does he still have that desire and that drive to keep winning? I don't know. But if he does, I do think having the career Grand Slam and finally winning the majors takes a lot of pressure off of him, because there's other guys that are still trying to get their first major.
Pressure might come off, but then his focus there.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is the focus there because he doesn't care as much anymore, Instead of hitting balls after his practice round like he normally does, he says, you know what? I've already won my major. I'm just going to go take time off. So, yeah. But I go with one of those names. And then there's another 10, 12 guys. You've got, Ludwig Oberg. You've got,
DeChambeau should be,
Yeah, you got Lowry, just guys that have been playing well lately. Lowry's been in the hunt on a number of occasions this year, all those guys. My guess is Justin Rose is there. He's coming off a great tournament at the Masters. It's the same old names that we hear, all the young guys. Yeah, that's what I would probably...
Can I give you my...
Value bet.
Love it.
60-1 shot. He's been a little bit out of sight, out of mind because he's on the LIV Tour, but performed well at the Masters. I think he's finished third at the Masters, has performed very competitively at LIV, and also back in 2017, the last time they had the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, he took second in that tournament. Patrick Reed at 60-1 odds.
You took a deep dive, didn't you?
Patrick Reed at 60-1 is my value bet.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
A little distat lat.
And whoever Rosen picks, I'll go with him because he's an expert.
A little distat lat coming up on the other side of the break. Brian Oak joins us at 1:30. Rosen in at 2. But right now, as we go into break, Tennessee has another bonus bucks keyword.
I do. The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is check. Enter now at KFAN.com.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
The word on the street then was, he's too country for pop. But then once I got to country, it was he's too pop for country. So I kind of never really had a place to fit in, but that's exactly how and why I fit. I just embraced that. I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Check.
Get ready to kick off the 2025 season with your 2024 UFA champion Minnesota Wind Chill. Catch the game with our own Justin Guard on Saturday, May 17th at Seafoam Stadium, with the first 1,000 fans receiving Windchill 2024 UFA Champions t-shirts. Get all the details today at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
I mean, no disrespect to the wind chill. What the hell sport is it? Is it pickleball or is it lacrosse?
I think it's ultimate frisbee is what it is.
Is it mumbly peg?
Yeah, it's the Ultimate Frisbee Association.
Okay. All right.
I think we were champions last year.
What's JG? JG's going there?
Apparently.
What's he doing? Is he like doing the play-by-play or?
Let's play Frisbee.
The throw-by-throw?
The honorary first throw.
Do you think if the wind chill makes the playoffs, taking on Seattle, will he fly with a media pass, Uber to the stadium or wherever they play? I don't know where they play, watch the Ultimate Frisbee Championship and come back. Do you think he's got that kind of loyalty? That would be taking rubidity to a new level. No offense against you, Ultimate Frisbee. I'm sure it's a great sport is your whole life just sport. But that would take it to a new level.
Is he knocking on the Paul Allen door of biggest rube at the station? I mean, it's always been PA and not very close.
Yeah, I think he may have surpassed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. You know, he saw me, between shows. And I don't know if he had heard what I talked about, but I brought it up to him, and he did it was great. So it was, he wasn't defending himself, but because he doesn't need to defend himself against me. I get that. But I think it seemed like there was mild annoyance. That was labeling him a rube. And it is to each his own. I just me. No one's safe. I'm a Richard. I can't help it. And I'm good at it. But I just do think it's the height of rubidity, but that's okay too. ESPN now says it's going to have a direct-to-consumer streaming service that will debut in September at $29.99 a month. The service will enable consumers to view all of ESPN's various networks, including ones devoted to the SEC, the ACC, the FBI, the CIA, BBC, BB King, Doris Day, Max Busby, the Big Ten, as well as content from the current ESPN Plus streaming service, which will be folded into the new product. The network also promised enhancements to its ESPN app for mobile devices, including using AI to create a personalized sports center for consumers that concentrate on news and highlights for their favorite teams, sports, and athletes. And that's coming in September. I'm not a huge consumer of ESPN. It's a little too sports is your whole life sports over the top for me. But I think they do a great job reporting. Their games that they telecast. It's all good stuff. But I'm beginning to wonder. I don't understand this technology and all this TV stuff because I have DirecTV. I've had it for years. That's all I've got, and then I've got YouTube TVs. Sunday Ticket. Now, I've mentioned that, Deuce and baby brother Peter, particularly Deuce really consumes, he likes television, likes it. I've got access because of that Fire Stick thing I'm telling you about, because if you don't have a smart TV or whatever, you plug it in. And I've got access to, I think, every radio station or every television station in the world or network or whatever you want to call them. But I don't use many of them. And I'm wondering, for somebody like me, this is probably it, right? I mean, again, you start stacking, like the Twins right now is how much a year? Is it $20 a month or $90?
Maybe just $100 a year or $20 a month.
So let's say it's 20 a month. We add that 20 to this $29.99. So let's say 30. Now that's $50. And then all of a sudden, there's a couple more you want to have, right? You got to have, for me, I want to have Golf Network, Golf Channel, right? Because I like live from it. Maybe if you piecemealed it, it would be even more expensive. So I don't know what the answer is. Is this something that would interest you? Streaming service for ESPN?
I would need to know what it all entails. I mean, I'm a ESPN Plus subscriber as we speak, just because it seems maybe 10 games a year the Wild play in are on ESPN Plus as opposed to FanDuel Sports Network or another national television carrier. So,
well, this says it will enable consumers to view all of ESPN's various networks, including ones devoted to SEC, Big Ten, ACC, as well as content from the current ESPN Plus streaming service that'll fold in new products. That's basically what you're getting, right? What they said right there. I don't know if that...
I feel like I'm already kind of getting all
that. And you get it from... I can't remember. Do you... Are you like a cable or satellite? See, I'm satellite. That's what I do, and I've always done it.
I had to go back to cable. I'd done the YouTube TV thing for a while, and then they had the argument with Bally Sports North / FanDuel Sports Network, and they still have not gotten them back, I believe.
All right.
So then I had to, just for the sake of, at the time, I had to watch Wild games for my job.
Yeah.
Went back to Xfinity.
Well, we'll see how... We'll see how successful it is. Again, there are viewing habits, as you know, tend to be just changed for everybody. The one thing that it said in there that I found it interesting, because I think the youngsters do this already. I know baby brother Peter. I got to draw this story up again. Baby brother Peter does this. It says, the network also promised enhancements to its ESPN app for mobile devices, including using artificial intelligence to create a personalized sports center for consumers that concentrate on news and highlights for their favorite teams, sports, and athletes. Like, baby brother Peter will keep up with the league, right, the association, but he doesn't watch a lot of games. He just gets up in the morning, and as he's having breakfast, he'll watch the 2.5 minute or 3 or 4 minute, whatever it is, his NBA highlight package, and he knows what happened, And if you could do that just for that would be, you talk about, I know we joke a lot about show prep. I got Fish Wrap Factory, East, West, Athletic. I look at them and say, I miss some stuff. Trust me, there are some days I don't look at them, but most days I at least look. Oh, Twins won. Here's a quote. This is that. Vikings did this. But if I could just do it where I could just get it all in one spot like that, where it's just the teams I really follow, the teams we talk about all the time, and get rid of all the periphery stuff, though that's nice too, because we talk more than just local sports. But a personalized sports center where you get just the highlights of the teams that you want, maybe NFC North teams, whatever. I think that would be, that would work for me. That seems like it would be something, but
it's kind of the route we're going.
Yeah.
Like I'd heard at one point, at some point in television in the future will be the way you're going through channels is them predicting what you want to see. Right? It wouldn't just be, it's almost like TikTok now, right? Like TikTok has an algorithm that once you, scroll to the next thing, it's trying to predict based on what you've watched in the past, what you'd want to watch moving forward.
Right.
And you get kind of the same topics, like a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony is in my TikTok, right? I'm sure if you were on TikTok, you would have Beatles stuff popping up and that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that type of algorithm could be used for how you view your sports content.
Well, someone sent this to me, and I've heard stories. I don't know if it's. I've heard stories about devices like this. It says, got to get the Mars box, MARS, the Mars box, $250 one-time fee, and you get every channel known to man, along with every movie. Is that legit? I know. Somebody told me.
Is it legal?
Well, that's it. Is it legit? Is it legal? Somebody.
It's just a one-time fee? Is that what he said?
That's what it says. $250 one-time fee. See, that
I don't believe that.
Well, that's why I think that's got to be one of those. You buy this box and don't let anybody see it, and then you can get whatever you want. And I don't know if there's a way, because I know somebody that told me they've done it. They know people who do it, where you buy this box. I think it's a gonculator is what it is. And you hook up your gonculator to your TV and you can get everything. It doesn't matter what it is. So what I'm paying, I don't know what my TV bill is. My wife pays, unless I pay him $150, $200 a month. Somebody else is getting it for free. I got to believe all these networks and satellite and cable companies aren't happy about that. So I don't know how they get away with it. But, yeah, there you go. So The ESPN streaming package is coming to a theater near you soon. Legendary Brian Oak joins us next for another edition of Rock Talk. That's next here on The Fan.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
The word on the street then was he's too country for pop. But then once I got to country, it was he's too pop for country. So I kind of never really had a place to fit in, but that's exactly how and why I fit. I just embraced that. Like, yeah, I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks to friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal golf apparel this year, just like Common. Register to win up to $1,000 Unreal golf apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel, thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest. Enter today.
It's a Wednesday. Just past 1:30 means it's time for Rock Talk with Common Tenneby and the legendary Brian Oak. And
not Hall of Fame legendary, but legendary.
But still legendary.
Yeah.
I saw you had quotes in a newspaper story the other day, and not for a happy story. I was just stunned.
Mm-hmm.
You tell Jill
Sobule.
You tell the story. This is tragic.
Singer-songwriter. Been around forever. Kind of hit it big in the mid-'90s with what's widely considered the first openly gay anthem with I Kissed a Girl, not to be confused with the Katy Perry song of the same name.
That came years later.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very different vibe, but it was signature Jill Sobule in that it was funny, it was poignant, it was good, it was a great song. She was so clever and so funny. Satire and emotion, she was able to weave them together effortlessly. Her music didn't sound anything like John Prine, but she had very, very much John Prine vibes in the way that she was able to communicate all these different things. And then she had another big hit, Superstar, which got put in that one of those big movies, not Legally Blonde, Clueless. And then, she never kind of hit those dizzying commercial heights again, but has continued to collaborate and make music and is well loved by her peers. And she was working on had worked on a new musical called Bleep Fourth Grade, F Fourth Grade. Right. And it had a couple of successful off-Broadway runs in New York, and she was gearing up to take it around the country, and it was going to begin here at the Parkway Theater down in South Minneapolis on Chicago Avenue. And she has friends and regular, I guess, producers or collaborators. I don't really know the people who live here. And whenever she came to town, she would stay at their home in Woodbury. Well, we had managed to friend of a friend kind of connection. You know how these things work. We had got her signed up to be on the podcast, and she was going to come by 9:30 on Thursday morning. And, my producer and I were there, and we were sitting and waiting, and no one ever showed. And you know how it is in this business. You get no shows all the time. Right. Nothing personal, just lives are busy, and it's hard to coordinate. And let's be honest, it's just a local podcast. So I didn't think anything of it, and I didn't find out until that night that she had been killed in a home fire in Woodbury. Yeah. Which, and so again, I didn't know her personally. I had met her a couple times in the 90s. But it just, the fact that she was supposed to be at our studio and just a few hours prior lost her life in that tragic way. Yeah. It just, it hit home. It was very, very weird. And so, I did make a post about it on social media in that, this intersection of your life and someone else's life was supposed to happen. And then suddenly that line just stops moving. And, it was weird, man. It was, and also a tragic loss because she's wildly talented, a voice for not just the LGBTQ community, but also for anybody downtrodden. And, in these highly contentious times, she managed to find a way to continually get her message out there without bashing you over the top of the head with it. Like I said, her gift for satire and for kind of cutting to the heart of something, but still having heart and emotion to it. She was great.
I've not seen an update on the story. So I think the investigation still continues to the cause of the fire.
Right. I haven't heard any follow-up
either.
Yeah.
On a side note for me, I was playing golf that morning, so I was at the golf course early. I was getting ready to go to the first tee. I was just closing it at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm in Woodbury. I hear sirens go off about then.
Yeah.
I put 2 and 2 together later, and I thought, oftentimes when you hear the sirens in Woodbury at that time, they're going out to the freeway because there's been an accident nearby.
Right.
But then I come to find out, I'm 99.9% sure that's exactly what that was about. So it was a very tragic story. On that note, the transition's not always great, but may she rest in peace.
Well, may she rest in peace, but the good transition there is golf. I listened to your entire show so far today, and was it just me, or are we not doing Wheel of Topics anymore?
Oh, wait, just today it just wasn't, I didn't play today.
Oh,
believe it or
what?
not. Well, because
What?
I was up late, and I just didn't want to get up again and go on 4 hours sleep. Plus, I have all sorts of packing and things to do to get ready to go to Lincoln. My boy graduates from Nebraska on Saturday, so we're leaving town early.
Well, congratulations to you, boy.
Yes. Matter of fact, sometime on Saturday, I will be at Pinnacle Bank Center, whatever they call it, whatever their state, the basketball will be, and there will be tears welling up in my eyes. And while you might think it would be because of my pride I have my boy graduating, it's mostly because I won't have to pay that tuition anymore. That's what the tears of joy will be.
Well, I'm excited for you, Antenna, by the way, to hear that finally the Commonwealth is getting the recognition it deserves, and that recognition will take an international angle. I am so excited for you guys to be going to Dublin and to London.
I always love that.
Amazing.
Isn't it amazing that the company would step up and do that for us?
Well, I mean, I worked for this company for a very long time, and, there were times of generosity and there were times of skin flintiness, but, I think if anyone's earned that right, to go to literally the birthplace of golf, it would be the unofficial ambassador to Minnesota Golf.
And we're looking forward to it, though.
Yeah.
Though it's probably not going to happen.
No, I'm not hearing that. Are you not familiar with manifesting abundance? You need to visualize it. You need to know that it's going to happen. Yes. You need to manifest. Yes. Manifest your abundance, Common.
Farm Aid.
Yeah. This is a huge deal, by the way. Farm Aid. I mean, everyone has heard of Farm Aid.
Yep.
For 40 years, this is their 40th year, they will go out with a beyond star-studded lineup and talk about the plight of the American family farm. It started back in the 80s when the foreclosures were just left and right and everywhere. John Mellencamp felt so strongly about it, he wrote an entire album, Scarecrow, about this very subject. And Rain on the Scarecrow is still in one of my very favorite songs of his. But this all-star lineup for now 40 years has gone out and put on an incredible show and raised money. Most importantly, I think, though, awareness for the plight of the American family farmer.
Do they? Is it the same location every year? Do they bounce it around?
It's moved around quite a bit. I know Iowa. This is the first time it's ever come to Minnesota.
Okay.
Ever. And so, yeah.
When is it?
It's coming up in September. I believe September 20th. Yep, it's going to be at Huntington Bank Stadium. By the way, is there a new nickname, or is that still the Vault over there?
The Vault is the TCF. We used at Huntington Bank. We called this one.
What was it when it was TCF?
When it was TCF, the college one, which is Huntington Bank now,
right.
That's called the Vault.
It is the Vault.
But U.S. Bank, I don't know what we had for a nickname there.
Yeah, no, but it's going to be at Huntington Bank Stadium.
It'll be at the Vault. I'm sorry. Yeah, it'll be at the Vault.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, which I think is a killer venue because I like the size of it better than, U.S. Bank Stadium is fine and they could probably pack the place.
I hear the acoustics are terrible there. Everybody tells me that's terrible.
If you're not on the main floor, it's not great. Yeah. But this big outdoor stadium, Huntington Bank, I saw U2 there some years back. Now, that show's getting further and further in the rearview mirror, but it was spectacular, and so as long as the sound system's good, you're going to have the right number of people there. Pre-sale for tickets went on sale this morning, and already those tickets that got flipped around and are back on the resale market are going for over $300 per, and that's in the upper deck. But the full-blown amount of tickets, the allotment of tickets will go on sale Friday morning. I don't know the exact time. Oftentimes it's 10 a.m. to give people a chance to get up and get their day started, but do not quote me on that. But it's a big deal. It's the 40th anniversary of this. And, just to give you a rough idea of what you're looking at here, Willie Nelson, Neil Young and the Chrome Hearts, Mellencamp, Dave Matthews Band with Tim Reynolds, Margot Price. And then for the undercard, still very, very solid, Billy Strings, who might be the hottest thing in Americana/country music these days among the hipsters and the know-it-alls. You know, he's not a Morgan Wallen. You're not going to hear him on the power country station down the hallway, but really a huge deal. Billy Strings, Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats, Minnesota's own Trampled by Turtles are going to be there. Waxahachie, Eric Burton of Black Pumas, and more artists still to be announced. But that right there is a very solid lineup. And I think the regular tickets that go on sale Friday range in price from $101 up into the 300s, and there's probably specialty packages you can get and stuff.
Have you ever been labeled as something and you weren't happy with it? Like, there was a long time I didn't like the word disc jockey. I'm not a disc jockey. I'm a radio personality.
Well, that's because there was a time when you were a disc jockey.
Right.
And now, of course not. No, you're an announcer. You're a host. You're a whatever you want to call it. Once it all went to computers, I stopped being a disc jockey too. I wasn't jockeying any discs at that point, except on my specialty show playing CDs. But I don't know. I mean, people need a label, right? People need something to be able to hang it on to. When they hear like broadcasting announcer, I don't think it doesn't still carry that same level of cool as disc jockey. So that never rubbed me the wrong way.
The reason I ask is, here's a story I found. Syracuse.com. It's one of my favorite websites. And it's their entertainment section. In the headline, it says, famous singer hates being called yacht rock. I don't even understand it. It's yacht rock has been that name, that umbrella for a particular genre of music has been around for a long, long time.
It has, but it was really brought to a head for a new generation. There was an online only series of, in early days. This is quite some time ago. If you look it up, the online series Yacht Rock, where it was fictional portrayals of all these different artists that were supposedly in that genre. Loggins and Messina figure very heavily into it. Hall & Oates figure very heavily into it. And it put a kind of a finer point on what yacht rock is. And since that time, you've got the Yacht Rock Festival here in the Twin Cities, and you've got yacht rock nights at various clubs or various DJs doing yacht rock themed things. Again, to me, you got to not take it that seriously, Daryl. Daryl's had one of the most successful careers of an American musician that you or I could name off the top of our heads.
Hall, best known for his work with Hall & Oates, told the Broken Record podcast that he hates being called yacht rock and resents the people who came up with the term. Here's what he said. This is something I don't understand. First of all, yacht rock was a bleeping joke by two jerk-offs in California, and suddenly it became a genre.
Well,
I don't even understand it. I don't even understand it. I never understood it. Who are these two?
I don't know. There's a couple of comedians that were involved. There was one guy who was a radio guy who kind of plays the narrator. It's like a behind the music, but again, it's cartoonish and over the top. And
J.D. Reisner and Hunter Stair.
Okay.
And Lane Farnham used it for their popular web series.
Exactly. And if people have never seen it, it's cool because, again, it's farcical and it's hilarious, but it's also pretty educational about who were some of the players back in the 70s in the music scene, how they connected to each other, how they knew each other, real life rivalries and that sort of thing, but then told through the lens of these comedians, sort of just, like the guy who plays Kenny Loggins is just fantastic. And again, so I don't know any of those names, but if you've never seen the Yacht Rock web series, highly entertaining. And if you're at all interested in that era of music, it's pretty informative too.
Story goes on to say, yacht rock is a term often used to describe soft rock and smooth pop / R&B influenced sounds from the 70s and 80s. Artists like Hall & Oates, Steely Dan, Michael McDonald, Seals and Cross, and Christopher Cross often appear on yacht rock playlists and online radio stations.
Think about Michael McDonald. There's a guy who plays Michael McDonald in this series too that is so, oh God, it's funny. It's worth watching.
Well, one reason I bring it up is because, the labels really don't bother me.
Right.
I guess yacht rock just sounds like all I can see is, somebody like Thurston Howell III on his yacht with his hat on. But
it's not fancy like that. Think more of like the cover of the Loggins and Messina album, Sail On.
Right.
Where they're both in Hawaiian shirts that are unbuttoned down to their navel and they're literally on the deck of some small yacht. So it's more like vibe, like kind of like Jimmy Buffett, right? But he's not really considered yacht rock.
So however you would however you envision yacht rock to be. And for me, it's just it's sort of like, we've had this discussion. I don't want to consider it a debate about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What is rock and roll? I mean, is it, and everybody I think has their own idea. And for me, I think rock and roll is, I got a whole lot of love. I don't think of, sailing, take me away.
Right.
That doesn't seem like a rock and roll, but it's a vibe. It's a feel. So I don't get offended by it.
Right.
But it is like, you do feel like you have different categories. If you have rock and roll, and then you have different categories. And if it's deemed yacht rock, if you don't like the term, it's still Hall & Oates wasn't doing, I got a whole lot of love. I mean, you know what I'm saying? When you think about rock, you think of screaming guitars and
ZZ Top.
Yeah, right. That's rock and roll to me. And so
I agree.
So I don't know why Daryl's so upset, but I guess he just doesn't being labeled yacht rock. I guess just the name maybe bothers him.
So I mean, because that band did everything and sold all the records and literally dozens of hits throughout the course of the career. You should be grateful that anyone's calling you anything, because think about how many of his contemporaries from that era, who, what, whomst, Looking Glass, they had the one song.
Right.
But I would put that, if I were making a yacht rock playlist, Mandy would make it on there, not just because it's got an aquatic or a naval theme to it, but because it's got that kind of a fantastic vibe. It's light, it's bouncy, it's good. Player, Baby Come Back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So it's somewhere between soft rock and adult contemporary, but it definitely has sort of a summery maritime vibe, man.
Well, and
I can't. But he's also sort of notoriously a cranky pants anyway, and so I imagine there's not a whole lot that makes him smile.
Well, you and I think we both share a love of music. I think you enjoy more genres than I do. I think you're much more, your palette is much richer there. But I have said this on the radio before too. Back in my Haight-Ashbury days, you were supposed to I got a whole lot of, you weren't supposed to Dancing Queen.
Right.
So you didn't listen when it was your turn to pick out an album. Well, Dancing, ABBA wasn't even in there, but you wouldn't put that on. You'd put on The Who or the Stones or Zeppelin or something.
You weren't going to put on Mary Chapin Carpenter or Buffy St. Marie.
But in your car, you might. And
all the time.
When you're by yourself, right? And so I like all those kinds. I can like ABBA. I can like the Bee Gees. But I can also like I got a whole lot of love too, but there are some I don't like. But so to be labeled as something, if you're good at what you do, who cares what they label you?
I couldn't agree more. No, again, he's sort of just a sensitive guy in general, and by sensitive I mean jerkwater. He's known as cranky in his professional dealings and his personal dealings. I'm surprised he agreed to be on a podcast. To be quite frank with you, so don't get bent out of shape, and also. I think the labels, they help people kind of get a rough idea, but if people cling too tightly to those labels, it may turn you off. Like if someone told me, hey, this is today's hot new country, I'm automatically not going to listen to it. But if they play a song for me and it's a good song before any sort of thing is attached to it. Right. But his legacy is secure, man. He's established. Settle down.
Tenebee, do we have time for your bit that you had? Do we have enough time here?
Yeah, I think we could probably...
Tenebee had a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is fun.
Yeah, I'm stealing this from somebody else on TikTok. But Brian Oak, I want you to determine today who's had the better 80s groups, the United States of America. Oh, I forgot the anthem. Hold on.
Oh, wait.
United States of America versus the United Kingdom. Better 80s groups. I'm going to give you 5 matchups. I want you to go one by one.
This is almost impossible because I grew up in that era and I know so many that are going to fall into both categories. Yep. But it's going to be impossible, but I have to pick one, right?
So you have to pick one on each side. There'll be 5 matchups, and then whoever has more of the victories, then we determine USA or UK.
Okay.
For Better's 80s groups. First matchup, and I've just been talking about them for the last 5 minutes, so the timing's not great, but Hall & Oates, representing the United States of America, versus Tears for Fears from the United Kingdom.
Well, Tears for Fears is an incredible band, and as massive as Songs from the Big Chair was, their prior album, The Hurting, is by far the superior record. But then they broke up for 30 plus years. Hall & Oates, by volume alone, I like Tears for Fears style a little bit better, but it's got to be Hall & Oates. But seriously, by By volume alone, number of top 5, 10, 140 hits, whatever. It's the Hall & Oates.
Next matchup.
All right, 1-0 United States of America. Matchup number 2, Guns N' Roses.
Could you try again?
What happened there?
I don't know. Is
that
that
your
my
phone?
No, I think it's mine.
Mine's off. Oh, you know what it is? My computer every once in a while decides to, like, when I'm talking,
Right.
but not always. I didn't say, hey, so-and-so. All right, what's number 2?
Representing USA, Guns N' Roses versus the Smiths from the UK.
Oh, that's easy. Now, see, I'm going to lose a lot of cred with my hipster alternative, sad, goth, emo buddies. But I never liked the Smiths. Morrissey, I find utterly distasteful. I don't care for them at all, although they are one of the most revered 80s English bands of all of them. But it's not close. It's Guns N' Roses.
So USA is up 2-0.
I mean, go ahead and put Appetite for Destruction on, and then after you've listened to it once and you realize you started it again without even realizing it, there's not a hiccup on it. It is a perfect record.
All right, USA is up 2-0. So if any of the next 3 is won by United States, you've determined they are the better 80s group country. Matchup number 3, REM versus Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode for UK, REM for USA.
No, I abstain. I'm not going.
It's a tie?
I'm not going. Look, man, REM defined my youth. They're
that Michael
probably
Stipe, right?
Yeah, their first 5 albums I would put up against any American band's first 5 albums. Period. And then that was before they were even big and giant and household names. They're a perfect band. But so is Depeche Mode, man. Depeche Mode is... We're either going to circle back to this one, or I'm calling it a tie because...
We can call it a tie for now.
I can't pick between those 2 bands.
Next up.
All right, so call it a tie. So USA 2.5 to UK's half. Matchup number 4, representing USA, Blondie versus, for the United Kingdom, The Cure.
Ooh,
all right, I'm going to do something I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one, in that Blondie's best output came in the 70s, and their 80s output is decent but not brilliant. And The Cure were another one of the defining bands of my youth, and they never stopped being amazing, whether it's the early arcane deep. They started out super poppy, then got real weird and deep and druggy, and then suddenly got poppy again. And yeah, The Cure, without question.
And then Robert Smith went from a great football career to becoming the frontman for The Cure. Next.
All right, UK is on the board. It's now 2.5 to 1.5. This is the last one. Representing the United States of America, Talking Heads.
Ooh.
And for the United Kingdom, Duran Duran.
Oh, see, this isn't fair either. They're both incredible bands.
This must be the place.
Oh, Swamp. I mean, even aside from all the hits, Talking Heads records are very enjoyable to listen to. That being said, if you don't go back, I mean, if you go to the early Duran Duran stuff and listen to all the non-singles tracks, they're a brilliant band, but USA, I'm going Talking Heads.
Who was Talking Heads front person?
David Byrne.
David Byrne, that's right. David.
Yeah, it's really hard for me on that one. That was hard. Not as hard as, what was the REM versus, Depeche Mode? Yeah. That's crippling. I still can't come up with a winner on that one.
So you've determined the United States had the better 80s groups.
Well, now...
Out of those 10 groups.
Of those 10 groups, yes. But only just. And if we go, if we were to go far afield and very deep, it would get more challenging.
And which band did you say had their first 5 albums were as good as any American?
REM.
Even better than the Beatles?
That's not an American band.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd catch me there.
Yeah, no, boom. But also, yes.
No, they're
yes not an American band.
Boom.
American Band was by Grand Funk Railroad. I don't know what you're talking about. That's one of the greatest rock songs of all time, I think, American Band.
Oh,
about
absolutely.
Being a band.
Sweet, Sweet Connie. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Last Night in Little Rock. That's so good, man.
Oh.
The Hotel Detective, he was out of sight. Oh, so good.
As long as we can make it to the show tonight, we're an American band.
You have a podcast.
I do. It's called The Brian Oak Show, and it's available at your convenience on what I believe is the #1 destination for podcasts, the free iHeartRadio app. Just go there, type in The Brian Oak Show, and you will have nearly 500 episodes of this sort of nonsense and tomfoolery and skullduggery to dig into.
We'll talk to you next week.
All right. 12:30 next week he'll be on.
Because we have some changes. Oh, that's kind of a schedule release, isn't it, Teneby? Teneby gave a schedule release an hour earlier at 12:30 next Wednesday.
I'll see you 12:30.
Very good. Mark Rosen's next here in the Fan.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
Yeah, I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.